Which are the physically most powerful intelligent Xenos species in Warhammer 40K? Well, the most powerful in brute strength. We are not gonna include the Tyranids or the demons here for these following reasons. The Nids are a swarm entity that doesn't have a fixed genetic or physiological shape and form. Instead, they are composed of countless bioforms that can be modified, altered and recombined at will to create a stronger and weaker type as the hive mind necessitates. Well, except for a faction called the genestealers, which have a sort of a specific life cycle and thus specific forms or phases, and thus they can be considered here. As for the chaos demons, well, they are warp-borne and not made of real space stuff and thus could be as powerful as their patron god, chaos gods, deems them to be. So with that out of the way, let's dive into the most powerful races, physically strongest in 40k based on their brute strength and physical capability. We will also enter in human types here and there and abhumans so as to get a sense of scale of strength. Let's begin. So we begin with the following species, which are considered to be below baseline humanity in terms of raw strength and physical capability, certainly below in strength compared to adult human soldiers. The Gretchens and Snotlings of the Orcs are the smallest of the greenskin race and they should be strong for their size, but that's the main problem, their size. They are small and diminutive, and hence any normal human would easily beat the crap out of them in a single hand-to-hand combat. Then the Tau are stated to be physically weaker and smaller than an average human. They are also less aggressive and territorial. They are not weak per se, but they lack the size on average to come out on top of a man. They are probably more naturally disciplined, but not as natural combatants as humans. While the Necrons, in their current form as immortal sentient robots, are way more powerful than any normal man, and as robots we can't really consider them here, well, them in their original form is something else. As the Necron tier, millions of years ago or billions of years ago before the war in heaven, they were physically weak and were ridden with radiation sickness, and they also live a short and morbid life, and thus they can be considered to be weaker than any normal baseline human, at least that's the theory. Here in this power scaling, we also have the Strixers, which are a race of wandering traders and pirates, Xenos pirates, in the Coronus Expanse. They are probably weaker than humans when it comes to pure strength. Their bodies sound thin, gangly, and kind of fragile, like they aren't really built for lifting or fighting. Even though they have claws, that doesn't mean they're strong. It just means they can scratch or grab. Then the Thuris Xenos of Segmentum Pacificus are a bit different. They are squid-like in form but still clearly not as strong as a human. Their upper arms don't even seem to be strong at all or good at gripping, so they probably can't really punch or lift as well as a human. Their lower tentacles though might be strong and flexible, which could help them grab or hold things, but that kind of strength is more about control rather than raw power. So these here are only a few of the Xenos species amongst many others in 40k that are weaker than humans or maybe as strong in some cases, well, at least in terms of raw physical strength. The next 11 species and abhumans are between baseline humanity and Astartes or Space Marines in terms of strength scaling. We begin with genestealers, Loxadal and Beastmen, which are all stronger than normal humans but not really by a huge amount, more clearly above average rather than super overpowered. Genestealers are the most dangerous of the three because they have dense musculature, two sets of arms and sharp claws that end with really sharp fingernails that can tear through very tough armor. Plus they also have strong jaws that can bite with a lot of force. The Loxadal are kinda like Komodo dragons, but they are Xenos, and they're also stronger than humans in a different way. They are fast, flexible, and they have very strong limbs that let them climb walls and hold themselves upside down. Plus their underwater origins likely give them solid muscle strength, and they also rely on speed, tracking and agility. So the next one here are the Beastmen. They are probably the closest to humans but still stronger overall, with thicker muscles, stronger bones and much better endurance, meaning they can run longer, hit harder and keep fighting even after injuries that would stop a normal person still in their tracks. Yet they are still human size and shape, so the difference feels like fighting a very powerful tough human rather than something completely beyond human limits. The next three are also in the same range in terms of strength as the previous examples. Here we have the Kroot, the Saruthi and the Slan. They're all stronger than normal humans but again, not really by a massive amount. The Kroot or the Kroot carnivores may look thin and fragile but their muscles are actually very dense and efficient, giving them a high power to weight ratio. which means they can move fast and hit harder at the same time, almost like a spring snapping forward, and their ability to leap and move through forests shows they have strong legs and great coordination, which makes them stronger than humans, of course. The Saruthi are probably the most physically heavy-duty of the three here, since they are about the same height as a man but weigh almost twice as much, which suggests thicker bodies and stronger overall mass, and their unusual body structure likely spreads that strength across multiple limbs, which gives them a solid lifting capability and pushing power. Now, the Slani or the old Slan are more balanced, with slightly larger and bulkier bodies, especially the females, and their amphibian biology, which suggests they have efficient energy usage and also great and steady strength, which makes them physically tougher and a bit stronger than a human, though not really built for explosive power. Now, the kin, the Eldari, and the Orcs are clearly stronger than normal humans, and the gap ranges from slightly stronger to much stronger depending on the species. The kin, also called squats, are abhumans. They're short and stocky but really tough, with genetically designed bodies that give them higher blood cell counts, denser musculature, and stronger bones. Even though they're smaller, they can match or slightly exceed human strength. The Eldari, on the other hand, they look slim and graceful, but their muscles are much denser and more efficient than humans, which means they're stronger pound for pound, faster as well, and more athletic, even if they don't look bulky. So an Eldari could easily overpower a normal human with ease. And then Orcs are on a whole different level, where even a basic Orc boy is about as strong as the strongest human, with thick muscles, high endurance, and the ability to keep fighting through injuries, while larger Orc boys could go far beyond that, having massive, almost gorilla-like strength that lets them overpower humans with ease, making them far more dangerous in physical direct combat or in a test of strength than either the kin or the Eldari. Two lesser-known Xenos species are also here in the scaling between human and Astarte strength level, the Sloth and the Ragdoll, which are dangerous in their own ways. The Sloth and the Ragdoll are clearly stronger than humans, while being compared to Astartes, they might be lesser. The Sloth are probably the most physically overwhelming, since they are huge, around 3 meters tall, and they are made out of writhing worm-like bodies that are covered in thick mucus and maggots, which makes them incredibly hard to damage and able to heal very fast. So even though they don't really fight often, a single Sloth would easily overpower a normal human just through size, mass, and their ability to keep reforming and absorbing damage. The Ragdoll are also much stronger than humans, built like large, multi-limbed predators with up to 8 limbs, strong gripping appendages, and heavy bodies, which lets them climb, run in any direction, and overpower humans with brute strength, which makes them extremely dangerous in close combat. Now, these next entries here are stronger than the firstborn Space Marines, but not really as powerful as a Custodian God. So just so you know, an average Space Marine is exceptionally strong. He is capable of lifting around 3 to 5 tons without power armor. Well, so the next entries here are 3 human subtypes firstly. These here are the Chaos Space Marines, the Primaris Space Marines, and the Ogryn, which are all stronger than the firstborn Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines are already superhuman like the regular Space Marines, but with enhanced muscles, stronger bones, extreme durability, and they're even pushed further by mutations or dark powers, which makes them stronger and more brutal than baseline humanity by a huge margin, and a bit stronger than a basic Space Marine. The Primaris, on the other hand, are an upgraded version of the Firstborn, designed to be bigger, faster, and stronger, with additional gene seed organs and better overall physical performance, so they are amongst the strongest human-derived warriors, easily leagues ahead of any normal man, and also a little bit over a Firstborn Space Marine. Then the Ogryns are maybe the physically strongest of the abhumans. They are different because they are naturally massive and incredibly muscular abhumans. They tower over Space Marines with huge bodies and overwhelming strength, which allows them to lift, smash, and carry things beyond what an average Marine could do, but maybe lesser than exceptional characters like Tiberius the Red Wake and also Ranulf. The next 3 examples are Xenos species, and each of them are stronger than a Space Marine, at least by brute strength. Here we have the Orc Nobs, the Vork, and the Genestealer Patriarchs, which are all extremely powerful compared to normal humans and way stronger than the Astartes, but they show strength in slightly different ways. Orc Nobs are huge, over 10 feet tall, with massive muscles and thick bodies, which makes them incredibly strong and tough, easily able to crush humans and even go toe-to-toe with Space Marines, so their strength is both raw and reliable in combat. The next species, the Vork, are a lesser-known Xenos, and they're even more extreme in terms of size and strength because they are massive creatures whose sheer bulk and durability lets them overpower things as big as heavy war machines. So their strength comes from their gigantic bodies and when they get angry. Now the genestealer patriarchs are a little bit different because they combine very high strength with speed and sharp claws that can cut through heavy armor, but they're not invincible, as shown by situations where groups of very strong beings like Ogrins or elite fighters like Space Marines or Sisters of Battle can still bring them down, but that requires tactics and coordination. So while all three are stronger, far stronger, they aren't really in the same scaling as a custodian god, so to say. So here we are ending this list with the physically strongest beings in the galaxy. Firstly, we have the Custodians, which are genetically sculpted masterpieces engineered on a cellular level to be the perfection of humankind, with individual strength, combat capabilities that often allows a single Custodian to slaughter dozens of Space Marines. Next above them may be an Orc War Boss, who is one of the strongest beings you'll ever meet or see in 40k. They are far stronger than the average Marine and even stronger than an average Custodes in some regard. They are huge, often over 10 to 20 feet tall, with massive muscles and thick bodies that give them raw strength, enough to rip apart armored soldiers, smash vehicles, and overpower most enemies with ease. These are the biggest orcs around, and in terms of raw strength, they can be like elephants or large-sized dinosaurs. However, Primarchs on the other hand are stronger than them, as these beings are genetically engineered demigods with warp-infused essence and they have the blood of the Emperor of mankind flowing through their veins. Okay, so let's give you an example of a feat of strength of a Primarch. Here we have Angrons of the World Eaters, who was said to be able to lift a Warhound Titan, able to stop its foot from crushing him, which means he was able to lift over 400 tons, and that is impressive. But that's not the end. Here we come to what can only be termed as the apex of all strong intelligent beings. Here we have the Beast, who was insanely powerful, far beyond a normal Orc war boss and easily one of the strongest beings in the galaxy at the time. Around the same level as a Primarch, or even a bit stronger. The Beast was huge, around 10 meters tall, which means 33 feet, massively armored and incredibly strong, and so unusually intelligent for an Orc, which made him both a physical and a strategic threat. And in direct combat he was able to fight Vulcan to a standstill and even gain the physical upper hand. FYI, Vulcan is one of the physically strongest amongst the Primarchs, even stronger than Angron, and this shows that the Beast was at least comparable in raw power, if not a bit more than a Primarch. And then we finally end with the strongest, and these are the Ancient Krogs, beings which are on a whole different level above even both the Primarchs and the Prime Orcs or the Beasts, as they were the original fully perfected versions of the Orc species, created by the old ones for war against immortal robots and star gods. They had larger bodies, better biology and more advanced natural armor and intelligence than even the Beasts, which means a true Krog would likely be stronger, tougher and more dangerous than even the strongest beings in the current era, well, at least comparable to the God Emperor of mankind. Now with that we come to the end of this video, and if you think that humans are weak, well, the God Emperor of mankind is at the top, then comes the Krogs and all the rest. Well, here you have it, the physically strong Xenos species and humans in Warhammer 40k. Now do hit the like button for support and also subscribe to be a part of Legion Nutbug. So till the next time, take care, boys.